All right, welcome to another Coffee with Samso. I've got Don Smith here with me from LI3, and we're at Mill Point Cafe Bookshop, who's been very generous to let us have the whole place to ourselves, without the coffee for now. So Don, maybe give us a good intro and about the company, and we can go from there.
Sure. My name's Don. I'm a geologist by trade. Well, I've got a few other qualifications. Been working as a geologist for more than 20 years. I've worked on every continent except Antarctica. It's on the list. But, and I've worked in most commodities and in a bunch of different roles. And recently got the request to join LI3 as a managing director, and looking forward to the challenge and getting on with some good exploration.
All right. Look, Don, I guess when I look at the projects that you guys got, I mean, you moved on from the lithium story, I assume, and you've got some really, it's good to see some really nice exploration projects in the goldfields.
Yeah, sure.
I've always said that the Northern Wiluna Belt is too big to just have what it has now.
Yeah.
There's plenty of in-betweens, as anyone that's in this industry would attest to that. Give us a rundown on some of these projects that you've got there.
Sure. Well, we still do have quite a substantial lithium holding.
Yep.
And so we've got projects in Africa. So we've got 1,500 square hectares of the Mutare greenstone belt in Zimbabwe, which is it's well known for having tantalum and gold and lithium. So we're exploring there, and we've also got a gold lithium project in Mozambique.
Yep.
And which we were also progressing. Closer to home, we've got 3 lithium projects here in Western Australia that we've had for a while, and we're working on those. And more recently, the company took over a private exploration company, which is where I come in. It was called Yalgoo Mining, which has a portfolio of copper gold assets in Western Australia here. One of them in Mount Magnet, and another group of tenements in the Yalgoo region.
I guess when I looked at your presentation, what really caught my eye is the fact that you've got a system or potential system where you're looking at something very similar to Golden Grove, which is have been around for a long time and still doing really well.
Sure.
Is that going to be a focus, or are you guys just going to sort of step in and take it sort of step by step?
Well, look, there's an element of taking things step by step, because I think it's missing in a lot of the exploration space is that systematic, science-driven way of doing things. But we're also focused on commercial reality too, and in that regard, our project focus is definitely the Warrior project, which is in the Yalgoo greenstone belt, as I mentioned. And I guess the thing just to enlighten anyone that isn't aware of, Yalgoo is a small town about 5 hours north of Perth, just inland from Geraldton. And it was a major administrative centre at one point, and it was one of just Western Australia's highest grade gold producers. And about the same time that Kalgoorlie got started and that kind of thing. And because of the enormity of Kalgoorlie, it seems to have been we call it the forgotten goldfield, because not many people seem to know about it, despite this rich mining history, and indeed the contemporary history is massive as well. With, you mentioned Golden Grove, but there's also half a dozen other major operations in that belt as well.
Yeah, no, it's interesting when I look at your map. I mean, some of your projects near Rothsay. I mean, I in my Silver Lake days, they had Rothsay, and it's high grade. I think Silver Lake's brought that back, I think.
They have indeed. Yeah.
And that's a high grade sort of brittle kind of sort of geology. And you are right. I mean, what I have noticed is that people are now going back to sort of the forgotten goldfields like Menzies and Yalgoo. And in some ways they were flourishing in the 70s, 80s, and then.
Yeah, it seems to have died off a little bit.
Yeah. And it's good. That's why one of the things that interested me is that you picked it up, and some of the signatures obviously is identifying what could be there.
That's right.
And have that systematic exploration ways, and which is directly related to how much money's in your pocket.
That's true, of course. Yeah.
And so I mean, in terms of the Warrior one, I was really keen because VMS and things like that is a word that geologists use a lot, and we're very, very astute with it.
Yep.
But I don't think the market sort of get VMS. They just get a good project.
Yeah, look, there's not many of them in Western Australia. It's we have more of a narrow focus on what can be found here in Western Australia, and certainly Warrido exposes investors to a few things that are less conventional here in Western Australia, but certainly no less relevant. And VMS is one of them, and the IRG, intrusive related gold system, is another one, which we seem to have both of those happening in that same area. So it's very exciting.
I mean, yeah, looking at your diagram in your presentation, I mean, when you look at when you got an intrusive of that size, and you start talking about whether it's scarred or it's intrusive or VMS, you got the most important thing is that you got the cooking element there.
That's right.
What comes off it, really, it's your pick of the season, really. And that's why
that's a good point, because I guess that's why we've decided to focus on the VMS angle to some degree, even though we're focusing on a lot of things. But the VMS thing is very exciting, because what you do is, if you follow the Yalgoo greenstone belt from Yalgoo south, it's about 100 kilometres long, and it goes south for about 60 kilometres, and then there's this magic latitude where everyone just thought things end because there's granite there, and so one of my colleagues was working up there a while back and noticed that in this area where there's not meant to be anything, there was a lot of prospectors there digging up gold, and quite a lot of gold, and being very successful. And he said, well, that's a bit strange. And so what we did is we've come in and had a look at it, and we've taken the Ivanhoe approach, I guess, in some ways. You say, go look at somewhere where everyone's looked before and not accept the conventional thoughts on things. And so that's what we did. We went in, we did what John Hronsky calls, we got our search space, and we said, okay, this is somewhere which not many people have actually looked, believe it or not, and because it was, the view was that there was nothing there, and so we looked there, and we went and collected our own data and looked at the existing data, and through that work, looking at the geophysics, we realised, there's quite a strange anomaly happening here, and we followed up that with a lot of data analysis and satellite imagery and spectral work and this kind of thing, and we said, this definitely looks interesting. And then early in the year we went out and did a field program and proved it up, and it's there. There's the rocks don't just come down and end at this magic latitude, they come down and they wrap right around this intrusive, and we've got 20 plus kilometres of a greenstone belt that no one's ever known about, and I don't think that's happened in Western Australia in decades, to be honest. So it's pretty exciting.
I think that there's many reasons. I like the story. That there's many reasons. One is that I have come across a company who's got a massive swag of tenements around the Yalgoo area, and he spent an hour talking to me, and I thought, this is really good. Why are you guys not out marketing? So I sort of know the area, past all the historical stuff, and you guys finding this kind of things is not sort of new in the sense that, because that's what's required now, is that the last 20 odd years, probably since '99, anyone who's been in this industry knows about how everything is stopped overnight, literally. So the exploration amount of stuff that's not done over the last 20, 30 years is almost unforgivable in a sense. But good for this conversation,
because it's an opportunity for us.
And I'm not surprised that you're finding that stuff, because when you've got such a big system, it's just completely
It's not just a big system, it's a well-endowed system. And so, as I mentioned before, if you go south from Yalgoo, at least every kilometre, probably more than less than every kilometre, there's a mineral occurrence. And that's for the best part of 100 kilometres. So there's mineral occurrence every kilometre, and every 10 to 20 kilometres there's a giant mine. And we've got 20 kilometres of ground that no one's ever realised as prospective before. Chances are pretty good for us to make a discovery, aren't they? And
No, I think going forward, I've always said this that it is easier to knock down a house and build a new house. So to find your own deposit is probably cheaper and more economical in the long run than it is to try and make good of something that's closed down.
Absolutely.
And find your own deposit, which I think you've got. I guess you brought the point. Right? It reminded me that it's a forgotten goldfields, like a lot of. In some respect, even like the Murchisons, there's not much work been done there.
You got it.
Then I thought, it's really no exploration for the last 20 years. I think that's where it comes down to.
Yeah, and a lot of the exploration that was done was, very narrow focus, and some of it was ineffectual, and the industry, and that's what we're doing. We're just going back and looking and going, oh look, we think there's an opportunity here because this wasn't capitalised on effectively.
Well, all the major discoveries in the last 20 years is from these kind of discoveries. Apart from the near mine stuff, which it's almost a given anyway, because you've got the money and intensity to do it.
Everyone's going to be doing that, for sure.
So I think like Albany Fraser thing that I did with Galileo, and then you had Nova and all this.
Yep.
That's from this kind of stuff, and I guess the Yalgoo is interesting. The more we talk about it, the more I sort of the picture of that company opens up, and it's actually very prospective, actually.
Most definitely.
And what you guys got there, like I said, you got the cooking element already there. Yep. It's just a matter of finding what it has cooked.
And look, we're already on the trail, and we've done a bunch of geochemistry already, wide-space geochemistry, just to get a feel for what's going on there, and we already know what some of the rock units are and what they do, and that's an important point actually. This greenstone belt I've mentioned, there's a number of major deposits there. So you've got just north of us, you've got the all story told it's probably a 1 million ounce Minjar operation. We can actually see it from our project, so it's that talking about it just in the shadow of the head frame. That's pretty good. And but then just north of that you've got Golden Grove, which we've referenced a few times. And for those that aren't aware, it's a base metal phenomenon in it's a volcanogenic massive sulfide BMS system, and no one knows how big this thing is. Like it's a whole bunch of pods.
Correct.
And it's probably plus 50 million tons at a couple of percent copper and 15% zinc or something like that. It's just spectacular grades. And
the zinc numbers is fantastic.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah. And they're doing a whole bunch of exploration at the moment too. I think they've got $30 million invested in the region at the moment, and they're getting ridiculous, absolutely insane hits, like 20 metres at 15% zinc, and there might be 20 metres at 3% copper. Those kinds of numbers, and that's certainly, and those same rock units, they just come down and then they go into our project. So we're just narrowing down the search space, and the chances are that we're on the road to a major discovery.
Because I noticed some of these your results come up. You have a lot of these tungsten and tin, sort of those highly incompatible stuff. So it's really interesting. Was there any historical work there before you guys?
No, almost none. That's the beauty of it. In fact, a large percentage of our VMS potential has never been pegged. There's never been a tenement.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just assumed to be barren granite, and it's not speculation. As I say, we've gone out and done field work now,
I can see.
And the awesome thing is, like, of course, the exploration industry is going towards exploration undercover, and some of our project has cover, like all of Western Australia. Yeah. But like we have kilometres of outcrop, so this stuff's just sticking out of the ground. It's amazing, and we're working on some very serious drill targets right now and it's outcropping.
I was just going to ask how much cover, because I remember the other guy telling me, there wasn't that much cover.
No, it's very, very shallow. Yeah, there's the usual paleo channels and these things around, but we've done soil sampling and using motorised auger, not for the sampling itself, just to get through the cover, and we were surprised it was only sort of tens of centimetres, metre kind of cover in some places, and big swaths of outcrop. So.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, it's amazing when you see some of these stories, and not many people get to hear it. You don't get to see it.
That's right.
And I think the good fortune on the market is that we're actually seeing a lot of information coming out, and the capital markets is getting a bit edgy and excited. Look, and it's rewarding good results. I mean, some of these companies that come out good results are seeing spectacular rises in share prices.
Indeed, we've had some interest in the last few weeks, the last month or so. We've just put out some fairly, exciting but nothing out of the ordinary soil sampling, and people have taken notice and gone, oh, these guys are doing good work. So,
No, the more sort of research I did over while I'm preparing for this conversation, thinking, hey, this is quite an interesting play. Look, at the end of the day, you could drill a hole and get nothing, but
that's it, game.
But the address, you got the address, and I like the fact that you get the hit source.
The thing about exploration is trying to, as my chief geologist says regularly, he says it's about trying to remove the element of error. And so, if you've got 100% error and you do things that remove that, and the chances of you having success are obviously going to be higher, aren't they? So, and that's what we aim to do through our data-driven, scientific, methodical process, but also the ability to, bring that to commercial outcomes as well.
So I guess, in this time of COVID and stuff, I think, again, I think I'm repeating myself, is that domestic project seems to be very workable. It helps. I mean, look, there's some fantastic stuff overseas, and that will just keep going, because it is what it is. But when you're playing with this kind of projects, I think domestic stuff works really well.
And look, in terms of infrastructure and everything, I was quite spoiled a few years ago working in the US in Utah, and it became almost cosmopolitan. There was no remote work required. You just go out, you live in town and you start working right beside where you live, and you get mobile phones, power and rail, and that's not something we're used to in Australia, Western Australia particularly, because it's so vast. But we have that at this project as well. We have communications, we have rail, we have road, we have power, we have water. All these things are already there, both from mining and general infrastructure in general. And it's only 4 hours north of Perth. So
I think anything. Once you've been working remote, you sort of understand how all these things are so critical, right? And it makes or break certain things, and it reduces your costs significantly as well. And I think that's a point to be made there. So going forward, I mean, look, corporately, how's the capital market out there for you at this point in time? I mean, you're the MD, so you're the guy who's...
Sure. Look, there's no going around that the capital markets are always difficult for exploration. But I think because we have a good story that we're already getting some interest.
Okay.
And so that's a very positive sign.
So are you guys on actively on the roadshow, or are you chasing?
Obviously, it's a bit difficult to do that in the current circumstances. But no, we're all always active in communicating with our peers about what we're doing. So for sure. And when some of these restrictions have been lifted a bit, we'll be doing the roadshow thing.
I guess that's sort of sooner than we. Which is a good thing. So going forward, what is the path for LI3, and what's your steps?
Okay. Well, we're going to be we'd likely be doing some raising of money in the future. And there may be, with the company's broadened focus, there's likely to be some rebranding, but at the moment we're just focused on getting on doing some good exploration and getting on the ground and sort of just developing this amazing opportunity that we've got. So,
Okay. I guess it's just you can't pick your timing, and
that's right.
But you can pick your projects, which is the crux of the matter, I guess.
Yeah, true.
Look, that's a fantastic story. I mean, I think it's something new, something different. Sometimes when you glance over these kind of projects, you don't look at the details, and when you sort of go into the details a bit, you sort of understand where the potential are and things like that. Don, maybe thanks for sharing.
Thanks for having me, Noel.
And hopefully, all goes well and we can have another update
Look forward to it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, good one.